and welcome to another build. So today we're going to be building Alderwell Estate. So this is really strange, but this was originally going to be called Nixon Court, and we're going to have the Earl of Nixon Court. And for some reason, I forgot that I thought of the name Alderwell ages ago. And I also edited the video, so when I came back to this, I thought, okay, I've got to edit this whole video, it's going to be massive. But no, it was already edited for me with a better name than I already chose. So really weird, but yeah, I have the worst memory. I have a really terrible memory. But yeah, this is going to be Alderwell Estate. So if you've heard me talk about the Earl of Nixon Court or, whatever, yeah, he's now called the Earl of Alderwell. It sounds so much better, I think, anyway. So anyway, this is going to be a huge build, if you can't tell. It's one of the biggest. In fact, strange story, this was the biggest build I've ever built, and I took a step back after building it, and I thought, okay, I am never going to build something like this again, because this is huge. And then about 2 weeks later, I did it again, and I've built the King and Queen's mansion, which is inspired by the Cinderella's castle from the movie. So not the one that I've built. If you've seen it, then yeah, it's very small, and it's like, it's not that one, it's a different one. So the one that is in the movie is like so massive, and it's like a gold colour as well. It's really nice. But then again though, I don't have a very good memory, so I tend to exaggerate things. It's probably not gold, but I imagine it in my head as gold, so there we go. Anyway, I got several just different inspirations from this build, and one of them was the place that I actually got married at. So I got married in England. I don't know if I can say where I got married. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I got married at Hallcross Hall, so it's like in Herefordshire, I think. I don't know. But it's like a spa resort, and yeah, I took inspiration off that because it looked really pretty on the wedding pictures. It was pretty cold though on the day. It was really strange actually, because everybody said that on the day that I got married it was freezing, but I was the only one that was absolutely boiling hot, and I couldn't feel a thing. And I only usually get like that when I get ill, but I don't think I was ill on wedding day. But anyway though, so it's supposed to be like a very old, maybe 1700s inspired build. I don't even know. It's just supposed to be very old, and a lot of English mansions are built in this like cobblestone almost, so I tried to go for that, and it does start off looking like layered pancakes, as strange as that sounds. But no, it does get better. Trust me, it does get better, and I was pretty happy with it. I am dreading decorating it. I really am. I might just put it on the Sims gallery. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to decorate it. I don't want to decorate it, but I'm going to decorate it and have a part 2. But if it's not out within like a couple of days, it will be coming out like maybe in a week or 2, because this is going to be a big build to finish, but I'm going to do it. And inside this build, we're going to have the biggest ballroom ever, because there's going to be like a massive ballroom, and there's going to be a library, because I've written like most of the scenes with the Earl of Alderwell in the library and just rooms like that. So just general miscellaneous stuff. It's going to be interesting though. So anyway, if you're completely new to the channel and you don't know what on earth I'm talking about when I'm talking about scenes and libraries and parts and stuff. Okay, so this is for the Let's Play story that I'm going to be doing on the channel. So it's called Calliwell Estate at the moment, and it's basically a series which is mixed with Let's Play, and it's also like a story machinima series with like voiceovers from actors and actresses, and it's a pretty fancy series. But I decided to do it because I have a bad habit of building like these really massive mansions and then never using them. And I know that it's really frustrating some people, because I get comments weekly just saying, is there any chance that you could use one of these mansions in, maybe a Let's Play or something? And I don't know why I've never done it. So yeah, this is my chance to like show off pretty much all the builds that I've done in the past, and also show off some of the people's as well, because we're going to be having so many mansions in this series. And yeah, I've pretty much got to the point where everybody is just incredibly wealthy. So I haven't got enough mansions to go round. So if you want to build a mansion for the series, go ahead, because I would love that. And it gives people a chance to sort of get involved if you want to get involved. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to get involved, but if you would like to be a part of a series, if you don't want to be like a voice actor or actress, you could still do other things. You could like build a house for it. It doesn't have to be a mansion as well, because like country cottages, that sort of stuff is really helpful. Because something I noticed about Let's Play Witches is the fact that a lot of people on the Sims 4 gallery made witch houses, and I absolutely loved that. And in fact, it was sad because I wish that I'd have written it into the story about those witch houses and made like relevance to them and I could use them. But yeah, I mean, it's sad, but I want to do that for this series. So I'm making an active effort to use as many gallery creations as I possibly can. So anyway, going back to the Earl. So the Earl's personality, he is supposed to be a little bit shallow, and he's going to go through like a transformation in the series. He starts off wanting money and stuff because, oh, something I read about as well is the fact that a lot of men in the 1800s era, they went after the women for the money. Maybe it's just like the stereotype that women want to go after rich men, and I hate that because that's not always the case. I know lots of male gold diggers. Yeah, I do. But in the 1800s, apparently, it was a pretty big thing for guys to want to marry women because they knew that once they married them, they would get their wealth because that's how things went. So if you're a very wealthy woman in the 1800s era or even before that, as soon as you married your husband, as soon as you married your boyfriend or whoever he was, then all that money, everything that you've earned your whole life pretty much goes to them. But I guess that all that money maybe was from inheritance because I don't think that it was popular for women to work, which is really sad. So I'm glad that times have changed. It's difficult to explain, I guess, but it's not going to be like the characters are meeting each other for the first time. They are going to be, fully aware of who each other are, and we're just walking in on it and we can see the friendships and relationships they all have. So the Earl's going to be really keen on the idea of marrying a duchess, so somebody that's a little bit above his station for the money. And he's going to do that at the same time when he's in love with somebody else because he's going to be the love interest of Beatrice. So it's going to be a little bit dramatic and be expecting some tears in the first part because, I mean, there's always going to be drama in my Let's Plays. I had some complaints at one point saying that I include too much drama. I don't know how you can have too much drama, honestly, because I love it. The thing is, I've always said to myself, I would never put anything out on my channel unless I'd watch it myself, as strange as that sounds. Going back to the fact that this looks like the place where I got married. So, I hardly ever talk about my wedding day, and it's such a shame because it was such a amazing time in my life. I absolutely loved it. And I don't know how I've missed these stories on the channel, but so much drama happened on the morning of my wedding, and I don't think that I've mentioned it before, so I guess it's pretty relevant. But anyway, what happened was I booked the bride's room. So the hotel itself has a very amazing bride's room with like a 4-post bed. It's got mirrors in there. It's got like seats where you can sit. Now that doesn't sound very impressive, but no, it is. It's beautiful. It's like all in gold. Everything's in gold, just like this build really. And I was obsessed. And the thing is as well, this room is plastered all over the hotel's merchandising. Like when they have, people that come to the hotel, come to the spa, you can see it. It's plastered everywhere. A bride getting ready in the bridal suite. So when we booked for the day, because the idea was that we were going to have the wedding in the church just outside because it's actually like on the premises. So it's really easy to like walk there and back. It also saves having a car, which is actually okay as long as we have umbrellas on the day because we had to sort of risk it. So yeah, it would mean that I'd have to walk in my wedding dress on the day just over the road to the church, which wasn't a big deal for me. And if it was raining, then I'd get an umbrella or someone would drive me. So yeah, it was fine. And the plan was, we discussed with the wedding planner that what we would do is we would have the bridal suite because of course it's the bridal suite. And it turns out that it came with a package anyway, because they do these packages and you can have like the bridal suite. So we were very excited about that. So we all arrived at the hotel spa resort about 5 days before the wedding. And it was so that we could prepare because I wasn't living in England at the time. So if anything went wrong, it meant that I would have to fly back or I would have to like wait until the day. I didn't want to do that. So yeah, 5 days was perfect because it gave me a chance to relax. It gave me a chance to see my bridesmaids, get my dress sorted and just generally pick everything up and check on everything whilst it was there. So that was really good. And one thing that I did do is I went down to the reception and I just double checked, and I said, just checking, on the morning of the wedding, I'm going to be having the keys for the bridal suite. And they said, yeah, that's fine. Just come down in the morning about 8 o'clock and it'll be ready for you. So I was really excited about that because the room that we had was horrid. It was dark, it was tiny, it was claustrophobic, it was hot as well. There was so many loud noises at night as well, so it was really difficult to get a good night's sleep there, and especially with it being so hot, and I'm not used to that. So that's what we did. We went down in the morning of the wedding, and that was because there was some complications at the desk. They refused to speak to me on the phone unless I went down to the reception and spoke to them, which was really strange. And I just said, well, the thing is, I'm sharing the same hotel as my husband, and we want to stick with the tradition that we don't see each other before the wedding. I don't know whether he's down there or not. So they just said, well, you're going to have to come down if you want to sort it out because we can't really sort it out on the phone, which was annoying because I had to go out my room and I had to go downstairs, and I ended up seeing my husband because of them. So because they couldn't even be bothered to speak to me on the phone, yeah, I saw him on the morning of a wedding. I was like, oh my goodness, why is this happening? So after that, I just avoided him. He was in his dressing gown, bless him. And no, that was funny because I didn't speak to him. I just turned away and he turned away. It was really awkward actually, because you think that at first glance that we hated each other, but no, we were just trying to, I guess, not see each other stressed on the morning of the wedding because he knew I'd be stressed, I knew he would be stressed, so we left it. Okay, so anyway, it turned out that the hotel had given the room to a random person the night before. So that bridal suite wasn't mine anymore, even though it was in my contract, and like if you worked it out from what the contract was and stuff for the wedding, it would have probably worked out that we paid a lot of money for that room because it was in the package. And they gifted it to somebody else. This random drunk person came in the night before, wanted a hotel late at night and asked for the bridal suite. Why on earth would somebody do that? And the hotel stupidly gave it to them. So my sister was going crazy, and she's a fantastic arguer. Is that the right one? I don't know. She can sort things out really easily. She's a lawyer and she always plays that card. Without a doubt, if you get into an argument with my sister, she'll turn around and she's like, actually, I'm a lawyer. So it's really funny when we go to these places because she does play that card. So she ended up having a conference with the managers and stuff, and they felt really bad because they gave up my bridal suite. I was stressing out because the thing is, I did makeup in college, so I was planning to do my own makeup on the day. And this might not sound like a big deal to anybody who isn't into makeup, but for my wedding day, I really wanted to look my best, and makeup, the key thing is to have good lighting, especially on pictures. So I knew exactly what to do. I'd practiced it, and the problem was because the room was so dark that I was in, I would have to do my makeup in the hallway in front of everybody, in front of people passing by in their dressing gowns because it was a spa hotel. So I was freaking out, like not too much, but I was upset because it wasn't the perfect morning that I'd imagined. I wanted a really stress-free morning. I wanted to have like my fruit salad and a glass of champagne and then head down to go and get married. So that was happening, and it turns out they gave us another room. They ended up giving us like a really nice room, but it wasn't the bridal suite, but it was a 2-story room, which was an absolute nightmare to get up and down in my dress. I have no idea why they put us in that room because I had to have 4 people help me up the stairs just in my dress. But yeah, so it was really interesting actually. But that was a story. So they gave it to this random person, and also they couldn't get hold of this random person because apparently they passed out in the room, so nobody could even contact them. And I think at one point my sister just said, look, if you don't sort this out within the next hour, I'm going to go and tell that person myself to go and get out of that room. So that was funny. I wasn't there for that, but apparently it was very funny. But you know, there we go. So that was my interesting wedding morning. And another thing was, I had my hair done at this salon and it dropped within about 10 minutes. So on any wedding pictures that anyone's seen of me, maybe on like Twitter and stuff, because I put a picture on Twitter of my wedding day, it was curly for about 2 minutes and then it just went to pot. But yeah, that was my wedding. I don't think anything too much went wrong, apart from the room disaster. That was pretty bad. I also had a freak out the night before because the cake woman hadn't arrived, and I booked a cake, and obviously I didn't know anything about her. I didn't meet her personally, because I was in Germany and she was in England. So I didn't get to meet her, I didn't get to see the cake, taste the cake, anything like that. You know, you have cake trials and stuff for weddings. Yeah, I didn't get to do any of that. So I had a massive scare, the night before, because I went down to the venue was in the hotel, and it was really easy because I could just go and check on it when I wanted to. And I saw this horrible cake on the table, and it was dirty, it had dust on it, it was 3 tiers, and it was plain. I mean, I'm not saying anything's wrong with 3 tiers, but I asked for like 5 tiers, I think, and it just wasn't what I ordered. It was this plain cake. It was, in the best way to put it, it was like a dirty 3-tiered cake with really uneven icing on, and it looked horrid. So I was in tears, and my best friend said, do you know, it's not that bad, don't worry about it. So I was really worried about it for a few hours until my sister came down with me and she held my hand and we went through the doors, and she said, Hattie, that's a false cake. And it wasn't a real cake. So turns out they just put one on the table. They put like this dusty prop on the table to make you see how it's gonna look. But I was so worried because I thought that was my cake. But no, my cake was absolutely gorgeous, and I was so glad that wasn't the one, because it would have been awful. But no, it wasn't real. She tapped it and it was like hollow when you knocked it. So there we go. Anyway though, back to the build. So at this point, I was doing some landscaping at the front. Now, these parts of the build took ages because I was just like filling them with an arrangement of flowers, I guess. So I took my time doing this. And I think that throughout, I got more and more creative with the flower arrangements. So at this point, you know, they're not that good, but I feel like towards the end, I got really good with the hedges and stuff. So I feel like it looks really rich and elegant. I can't even imagine the amount of work that would have to go into a build like this. I think in The Sims 3, I think you had to do all your own plants yourself. Like, you actually had to garden them. And that was with every single one. Now, that may just be my imagination again. I have no idea. But that's what I can remember. I can remember really cutting back on the amount of plants that I had because I knew that a gardener would have to come and water them all. That would be a nightmare. And in fact, that's something that I'm struggling with at the moment, because in my new house, we have these really nice flower arrangements in the back garden. I don't know what to do with them. I have had terrible trouble in the past with plants, and my husband got me this plant and he said that I didn't have to water it or anything, I could just leave it. But the problem was, it needed something. I don't know, it looked like it was dry, so I watered it and it didn't look much better. So I put it outside in the end and it started to go really strange colour. And this was when I was in Germany. So the landlady pulled me aside and she had like a really cross look on her face. I don't know why she got so offended about this plant, but she did. Like, this triggered her. I don't even know what happened, but she was very angry. So when I spoke to her, she said that I had made my plant sunburnt. She was not happy about it whatsoever. So I don't know what to say about that. I mean, one, it's sort of none of her business if my plant gets sunburned. And two, it was a mistake. It was an accident. I had no idea what was happening. So there we go. I just don't have plants very much. I also, unfortunately, forgot to water cactuses. So that's how bad I am at plants, because I don't know. I watered the plants. I watered the cactus about once a week, and still, they died on me. It was a shame. But my favourite plants, the plants I'm absolutely fascinated with, are Venus flytraps. I love them so much. They are absolutely incredible. They're like little animals almost. I don't even know what you would class that as, but they're very creepy with their mouths. And I used to have one of those. I bought one from the garden centre when I was younger, and I brought it into school and nobody would touch it. Everybody was really worried about the plants and everyone was like looking round, but I was very young at the time, so I can understand it. It was pretty scary. But yeah, Venus flytraps are amazing. I don't know what they class as because, it's difficult. I don't want to mess this up, but they sort of look like not a plant to me, but I don't know. Anyway though, going on to the hedges at the front. I did a lot of fancy swirls and things at this point, and do you know, I think it's going to be really interesting when we have fireworks as well in this build. I'm hoping for that. So I'm hoping to be able to put some fireworks in the back garden. Things. Oh, do we even have a back garden? I can't even remember. It's so big though. I wish we had a 100 by 100 plot. I did see a while ago that there was a modder called Zerberts, and they're working on making bigger plots or something, or more plots in a world, and it was just really incredible to see. I think that it wasn't possible in the end, but it was just amazing to see that people can do stuff like that, or at least attempt to, you know. It's really interesting. But I was thinking about The Sims the other day, and I was thinking about the fact that I knew that they said that it wasn't going to be a sandbox game, and it's obviously not a sandbox game, but how amazing would it be as a sandbox game? I would love that, because I feel like a simulation game in a place where you don't have loading screens, you can, you know, build freely, whatever you want. I think it would be really good. And maybe that's because I've been spending a lot of time on Planet Coaster. I don't know. But I just definitely love the thought of that, because I think that a really good idea for Sims, this is just me, if we ever had a Sims 5, I would personally love the chance to be able to switch the different families as you go. So you know how you can switch between Sims if you're in the same household? Well, what if you could switch between anybody in your neighborhood? Like, for instance, you could see a neighbor walking past and you could just suddenly switch to them and see what's going on in their life, and that way you could really bring the whole neighborhood into it, and that would be a really cool feature, which I would love. I mean, it's difficult to explain, but that's what I've been thinking about for a while. I feel like the biggest thing at the moment missing for me are heights, and that sounds really weird, but no, I wish we did, because it's just not realistic for everyone to be the same height. And I think that's where you get the fun with it, you know, similar to like traits. I think that having just like really short stubby Sims and really tall lanky Sims is just the way forward. For me personally, I love that. So I have that in my own game at the moment, and it looks really good. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the height mod to anyone that wants it, because it's a really good one. But another problem with it is some of the interactions, like for instance, if the Sims kiss and you have like a really short Sim and a really tall Sim, you end up with the interaction looking a little bit strange. So if like the guy's really tall and the woman's really short, yeah, that might mean that they would bump into each other, but it wouldn't look like the proper interaction. Like if they held hands or something, like maybe the male's hand would be up in the air and their hands wouldn't actually meet, that sort of thing. So pretty interesting stuff. But I guess we do have a back garden. I think I remember it a bit more now I see it. So the back garden, I think that it ends up being quite an open space. But the idea for the open space is the fact that I'm going to have loads of Sims out here. So in the winter months, because the whole story is going to be set in the winter as well. So if you're wondering about how I do that, it's mods again. It's probably not going to surprise anybody, but this series is going to be full of mods. I am in love with mods at the moment, and I think it just makes it so much more interesting, and it makes it almost fresh for me as well, because it means that I don't have to just rely on what we get in the Sims 4 game. So what I do with a lot of my stories is I write storylines in that can't actually happen, and then I find a way myself and get creative of actually making that happen in the game, or making it look like it can happen. So that's pretty good. But that's a lot of the part of the machinimas that I really enjoy doing, just that sort of stuff, making it up. But yeah, I think we've just got some like general items outside. I don't know why I was putting a wedding place or like a place for the Sims to get married. It doesn't make sense because, oh yeah, it does actually. Yeah, because the Earl's supposed to be getting married. That makes a lot of sense. But maybe he wouldn't get married in his back garden. I don't know where people used to get married in the 1800s. But then again, I'm trying to get out of this of saying that it's an 1800 series because it's supposed to be inspired. So it's not supposed to be exactly the same. It's supposed to have like, I guess, some similarities, but it's supposed to be from all different just old ages, like 1700s as well, the 1900s, just loads of things like that. Going with the swirls. Now, gonna talk about this a little bit because if you're wondering how I did this, I used the Alt key. With the Alt key, if you hold it down, I think the Shift as well. Yeah, just if you use both of those, you can't go wrong. So that will hopefully work, and you can get like really nice patterns like this, and you can do some really cool stuff in the back gardens. I haven't seen anybody do landscaping like this before, so it was new to me, but if you like this sort of style, then I can definitely do it in the future, because I'm thinking about doing like a really prestigious suburban home. And that would be with this sort of landscaping, but it would just be on a smaller scale. And that would be for families, because just in my experience, I have had a person that lives at the end of the street, well, usually anyway, that has very much looked after their garden. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really good. But I used to have a very snobby neighbour, and she was very funny actually, because, oh my goodness, I have to tell you this. So I went for a sleepover there because my parents were away, and I was about 13 or 14 at the time, and they said, you're going to go and stay with your neighbour, so you've got to be nice, you've got to be, you know, very just considerate and stuff. So I was like, yeah, okay, because I was going through a rebellious stage at the time, and I think my parents were a bit concerned about me staying by myself in the house, because I would probably have invited my friends. Not had a house party, but I would have definitely invited people around. So anyway, that happened. I went to go and stay with her. Now, bear in mind, she lived next door. She picked me up in her car. I had no idea what was going on. So she left her driveway. She just drove straight into my drive and she picked me up. So anyway, the night continued, and she ended up disturbing me several times, like when I was in the room. And she brought in just like sets of cutlery and crockery, and she showed me like all her best china. And she was trying to make a point about it. Like, it wasn't just asking if I wanted a cup of tea. It was bringing me up about 15 plates and bowls and little spoons with sugar on and stuff, and a little pot for milk and everything. This was so prestigious. And yeah, she was fantastic, but it was just such a funny night. Maybe I'll explain it more in depth another time, but no, she was fantastic. Anyway though, that is the end of the build, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all for Let's Play. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.